So now that we are well past the halfway point of 2023, I thought it would be a good idea to look at the Nintendo Switch software lineup so far and share my favorite games that are already out and available for purchase right now. We know that the rest of 2023 has some exciting prospects for us to look forward to, but what is out today that you can currently play? And that's what we're going to be discussing in today's video, as I truly believe that this top 5 list for me personally is something that many, if not all, Nintendo Switch gamers should consider owning in their Switch game library, and we need to discuss all of the details right now. What's up, nation? Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification if you haven't already. And right out of the gate, guys, we have to open up with the #1 game, my personal favorite of 2023. I'm pretty sure it will remain there even after all of the other games are out this year, and that is none other than The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I truly cannot recommend this game to fans, Zelda fans, or just brand new non-Zelda fans alike. This is a true masterpiece of a game through and through. Yes, it is the most expensive Nintendo Switch first-party release ever, but I truly confidently can say that it earns that price tag all of the way. Any of the talk online that was suggesting that this game might be $70 DLC, it looks too similar to Breath of the Wild, and that's really all it is a DLC pack for Breath of the Wild. All of that talk was put to bed as soon as people got into this game. Anybody that's still saying that online is somebody that I will tell you right now for sure does not own and has not played the game. Now, one disclaimer: if you really didn't enjoy Breath of the Wild and you hated the open world direction for Zelda games, you might not love this game because it is more of that, but it evolved and took the formula to the next level in every way, shape, and form. Link's abilities are the true game changer for how you interact in the world in this Zelda title. The fact that you can solve shrines, puzzles, temples, and progress the story how you want to and get creative on how you want to beat a puzzle is fantastic. There is not just one right or wrong way to do things, but rather you get to come up with the solution based off your own creativity on how you want to get past something, and chances are you can do it in a vastly different way than the person playing next to you. I thoroughly enjoyed the story in this game from start to finish, and I honestly think it has some of the best pacing when it comes to story elements in any Zelda game ever, period. I think that the Dragon Tears for memory replacements was genius. I actually went out of my way to make sure that I got all of those before beating the game. We won't be talking about any story spoilers, but just know that it has a truly legendary story, no pun intended, for the Legend of Zelda games. Everything comes full circle, and when you roll the credits on this game, you will truly feel satisfied. I clocked in at probably 80-90 hours in my first playthrough, and there's still a ton of stuff that I have not done. I've done some of the side quests, but honestly, I would say it's an easy 60 hours just doing the basics and progressing through the main storyline without even focusing on the various side quests and different unlockables that you can go out of your way to truly complete the game if you're somebody who likes to do that. But let me tell you, Tears of the Kingdom, absolutely the #1 spot for 2023, and as I mentioned, I believe it will stay there even following all of the unreleased games that will be out later this year. #2 on our list is none other than Metroid Prime Remastered, and if you know anything about me, you know that Zelda and Metroid are two of my favorite all-time gaming franchises, period. Metroid Prime, in my opinion, was the pinnacle of 3D Metroid. I actually will say confidently it is my favorite Metroid game ever, period, and the remastered version of this game did everything right to serve this incredible classic to a modern audience with modern visuals. They did enhance the visuals when you probably could have just ported this thing over with a basic HD upres, and they chose to put in the work to actually redo the textures from the ground up and add in the extra love and care. The lighting effects that are in there are top notch, not to mention they give you all of the control options in the world. If you're somebody who grew up with the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Wii and you originally played this game with motion controls, you can play it with motion controls. Do you want to play the way that it was on the GameCube and you actually stop and use the R button to look around and aim up and have that classical feel because you have nostalgia for that? You have that option with the controls as well. Or do you want it to feel like a modern 2023 first-person shooter experience where you can naturally move around and look with the two different analog sticks? That's how I played the game, and I seriously think it upgraded my overall enjoyment of it and took it to another level. The kind of puzzles and exploration that you come across in a Metroid game, it kind of scratches a similar itch to me as the Zelda franchise. I believe that something about the progression of always leveling up Samus's abilities, finding things like the ice and plasma beam and all of the different unlockables, just your morph ball bombs, you get to have super bombs, super missiles later on, you're finding missile expansion tanks, you're finding energy tanks to expand. The whole time you are really locked into this upgraded progression, and it really does a great job of hooking you in right away. I also think that this game has some incredible top-notch boss fights, very unique enemies, and depending on what part of the map you are in, it is entirely different types of creatures and bosses that you are fighting. It's very exciting. There are even some horror elements to this game in certain areas that you can't see well at all, and you're fending off Metroids in the dark. It's a ton of fun and a true masterpiece in my opinion, and I definitely think, Metroid fan or not, everybody should look into purchasing this on their Nintendo Switch. It is a full retail price of $40. It's available physically or on the eShop, and it sounds like we should be able to expect more Metroid Prime games to come sometime soon, so make sure you don't sleep on Metroid Prime 1 Remastered and add it into your Switch collection today. Number 3 on our list today is technically a 2022 game, but it did finally get its physical release in 2023, so I wanted to put it on this list, and it's none other than Sonic Origins Plus. You can now pick up Sonic Origins, the entire collection, physically, which is how I prefer to own it. I did double dip on this game because I decided to get it digitally back when it launched in 2022, but now you can have the best of both worlds. This is every classic Sonic game that put Sonic on the map. These are the games that carved out the history for the Blue Hedgehog, and they still hold up to this day. But what I love is that the Sonic team did put in extra work to string these games together in a story format that really works nicely if you play story mode. You will go from Sonic 1 to Sonic CD to Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles, and it's all seamlessly tied together with brand new animated cutscenes before and after major events unfold in the games. The other massive improvement is, of course, native widescreen support. These games had their fair share of bugs and glitches when they were first released. Some of them you could argue still have not been fully addressed, but I did not notice them in my playthroughs of these classic titles, and I thoroughly enjoyed them from start to finish. And with Sonic Origins Plus, you get Amy as a playable character, you can also play as Knuckles in Sonic CD, and you have 12 additional titles from the Game Gear era for Sonic games. It is a true must-own game for any Sonic fan out there, and if you grew up with the Blue Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis back in the day and you have any level of nostalgia for any of the games that come in this collection, I really think that it's a great value, and I really think that it belongs in your Switch collection. I personally had a blast with just those basic quality of life improvements, having Sonic in an HD resolution and a native 16:9 widescreen format with no screen stretching or anything like that. It's definitely a must-own in my personal opinion. Now, number 4 on today's list is none other than Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I loved this game from the Wii, but I did not remember it all that well. In fact, I don't think I played it to completion, but if you are a fan of old school 2D Kirby games, this is literally a must-own for you. I think it's done really well on the Nintendo Switch. It has the HD visual upgrades that you would expect, and it's everything you know and love from a classic Kirby game. I think this one kind of got overlooked on the Wii because the Wii was very focused around motion controls, and when this game was originally released, it didn't seem to quite make the big splash that I think it deserves. And so to see it brought back to the Switch with the modern quality of life enhancements and have things like 4-player co-op where you could all enjoy progressing through the game with your friends at the same time, I think you got to pick it up, especially if you're a Kirby fan. All of the unique power-ups are here, all the ones you know and love. Kirby with his sword, mech-style Kirby, fighter Kirbys, fire Kirbys, you name it, it's all here, in addition to a number of sub-games that you can hop into as well, like Samurai Kirby, Magolor's Tome Trackers, and Booming Blasters. If you just want a fun, colorful, classic 2D side-scroller action platforming adventure, this is a perfect fit in my personal opinion. It is still a full price release, which I do think is a little bit of a downfall. You may be able to find it on sale one of these days, especially as we get closer to the holiday season, and occasionally you can find it for things like $10 off on Amazon as well. But Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is another excellent 2023 entry on today's list. Now, while there's plenty of honorable mentions out there that you should be aware of that are out right now, like Pikmin 4, I have not played that at all yet, but it is on my list of games to play. You also had games like Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. I have not played that yet either, but the final game is actually going to be one that you technically have to have a subscription service to play because it is Nintendo Switch Online, and it's actually a collection of games because we have had 3 different classic Zelda games all dropped onto Nintendo Switch Online in 2023. They are the Minish Cap, Oracle of Ages, and Oracle of Seasons. We will start with Ages and Seasons. These are the classic Game Boy style Zelda games, very similar in gameplay style to what Link's Awakening is. These games, however, were developed and released at the same time, and they kind of have a strategy of complementing each other, where one game focuses a little bit more on crazy combat, boss battles, and dungeon exploration, and the other is very puzzle-based. Seasons, in my opinion, is the more combat, dungeon-based one, and Ages is a little bit more focused on the puzzle side of things. I think they complement each other perfectly. There's also reasons to complete both of them because you get the true ending of each game if you do go through and complete everything you need to get all of the codes you need to enter, because back in the day, you had to enter in certain codes to prove you owned both games. Now you could just simply look them up online, but if you want to be hardcore about it, definitely make sure you actually experience the content in each of them. I definitely think they're timeless classic Zelda games. And then you have a game like Minish Cap, which arguably is one of the best 2D Zelda entries ever. This is the origin story of Link's cap, and the shrink mechanic and some of the puzzles that they came up with in the Minish Cap are truly top notch. The dungeons, the soundtrack, the story, everything hits in this 2D Zelda entry, and it really benefits from the more modern visual capabilities that the Game Boy Advance had compared to Game Boy Color games, as if you're playing all 3 of these, you will definitely notice a visual upgrade when going to Minish Cap in comparison to games like Oracle of Ages and Seasons. But I do think that these are 3 Zelda games that every Zelda fan needs to play at some point in time. If you're somebody who's newer to the series from games like Breath of the Wild, because clearly that's the best-selling Zelda game ever up to this point in time in history, I think that you have to go back and you owe it to yourself to experience some of the classic 2D Zelda games that really cemented it as a hardcore, front and center Nintendo franchise. You need to go play these games, and they are all available on Nintendo Switch Online. Granted, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, you only need the base tier subscription to enjoy, but you will indeed need the expansion pack in order to experience Minish Cap, as that is tied to GBA, which is locked behind the higher price expansion pack tier. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video what your personal favorite games on the Switch in 2023 have been so far. Do you share any personal favorites in common with me and my list? Are there any that you really think I should have included on here that would definitely be in your top 5 for the year so far? And what games are you most looking forward to that are not playable in 2023 yet, and do you think that any of those will make it onto your top spot for the year? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.